At this time, I'll call our regular meeting to order. We welcome you. We did have an hour's workshop in reference to our overlay maps and discussions, and now it's time for our regular meeting. We have with us this evening Rabbi Goldberg from Beth Israel Congregation to lead us in our invocation, and that will be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. And I invite you all to please stand for our invocation.
Thank you for having me. As I join you this evening, 1 week from now, I and members of my congregation will be celebrating Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. It commemorates the sixth day of creation as recorded in Genesis, the day in which the universe was completed, the day in which, after the completion of the universe, God stepped back and said, "It is very good." That was God's creation, but we are partners in the ongoing work of creation. It is the relationship and the commission that God has delegated to all of us as human beings, to care for each other, to care for the world, to care for the gift which God has bequeathed to us. May we all, regardless of our roles, whether formally elected or concerned members of the community, may it be God's will that we have the insight, the guidance of our respective faiths to recognize our place in all of creation and to take with seriousness and success the work to move our community, ourselves, our families, and ultimately the entire world to the kind of place that God hopes we will continue to create it to be. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. At this time, do we have any additions or deletions to our agenda?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
under new business, item C, I had that placed on the agenda for tonight. I would like to request that it be removed and added to the first meeting in October.
Okay.
What number was that
discussion.
again, Matt?
New business, item C.
I'm asking it be removed and added to the agenda for the first meeting in October.
Okay. Are there any other changes to our agenda? If not, do I have a motion to?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve our agenda with one change, and that would be to move item C from new business to our October meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. At this time, we have official comments, and this evening I will start with Commissioner Marley.
Good to see everybody tonight, and the ones that showed up for our workshop that we had before the meeting. Appreciate that. It's good to see some people show up for those meetings, and that's all I have, man.
Okay. Commissioner Scarola.
I as well would like to welcome everyone. It looks like we're getting our community to come back into our meetings, which is really, really good. I like hearing community input. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Mark.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to just congratulate on August 31st, our second Hope class graduated from their electrical course. We'll have a third Hope class that is a plumbing class that starts on October the 3rd. And on Wednesday night, the Hope Mills Prime Movers hosted a networking night with the Hope Mills Chamber and Fayetteville Millennial Commission. That was really great. And I would like to invite you all out to Hope Day on October the 1st from 12 to 3 in the Parks and Rec building. This year we'll be focusing on human trafficking, and the FTCC Culinary Department will provide meals for us. And on October the 30th, the Hope Mills Prime Movers will be hosting the Fayetteville Symphony Orchestra is going to be playing at their concert on the lake, not jazz on the lake, concert on the lake, from 4 to 7 on October the 30th, and the flyers should be coming out soon. And it's great to see everybody. That's all, Madam Mayor.
All righty. Today I was very privileged, and there was, along with members of our fire department too, but we had the grand opening of the FTCC Cumberland County Regional Fire and Rescue Training Center, and this is out on Tom Starling Road. It's a great partnership with Cumberland County, with Fayetteville Tech, and even our legislators that were able to acquire fundings to help fund this facility. But it's a state-of-the-art training facility for fire. And what will happen will be, today they actually did a groundbreaking for the Fast Water Rescue Center also. So if you get an opportunity to ride out there and look at this facility, it's going to be great for Cumberland County, but it's especially good because it's also a way of keeping our training done at a top-notch way and being local, not having to spend money to go somewhere else. Something that I was fortunate to be a part of today too, and I brought it so that you could see it. But we had a coupling ceremony, and with fire departments, I learned something new today. When they have they don't have ribbon cuttings; they have couplings, and that's what we did today. And everyone that was a part of the invited guests, there was a fire hose stretched out, and each of us went up to it, and we uncoupled it to open up the facility. And Fayetteville Tech had these made for each of us. And it just states on here, Hope Mills Mayor Jackie Warner, Fayetteville Technical Community College, Cumberland County Fire and Rescue Training Center, dedication, fall 2022, Dr. Larry King, President. But this is such a neat thing to have, and a ceremony that like no other. But I do want to compliment Cumberland County and Fayetteville Tech, and also members of our fire department that represented us, and our volunteer fire departments. The local volunteer departments were there. And Chief Freddie Johnson from Stony Point was actually one of the MCs. So that's all I have. Commissioner Mitchell?
Just want to say good evening and thank everyone for coming out.
Commissioner Legg?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to also thank everyone for coming out. I see some new faces here, and I see some faces that's been here before. I didn't want to say old because I get in trouble. I want to ask this board and the citizens, Mr. Baxter Morrison passed away yesterday, and his son found him at home. So be with the Morrison family in your prayers, please. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we have presentations, and our first presentation is in reference to our public safety building project to be presented by Scott Garner. And Mr. Garner, I've been told to tell you that you have given us very good information already. So it's your turn now to give us some more.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor, council members. I'm glad to be with you to talk to you about the safety building next door. We are, it's a site on short roads, so we're getting approaching completion. We are not there yet, but we expect to be there soon. And what's going on now is we have some grading going on, and putting in drainage lines, and we're getting ready to do the landscaping on the exterior. On the interior, there's a lot of work going on. We're putting IP drops, they're painting, we're putting on hardware, putting acoustical tile, we're putting floor tile, LVT tile, the carpet are already down. And there's a lot going on. The electricians are trimming out, plumbers are putting in fixtures, and we won't be long before we're ready to take you over and let you see the inside of it. The focus has been on interior finishes and completing the site work. We are working toward a temporary certificate of occupancy so that we can move in occupy the building. And, hopefully that will happen, next month. And, it should happen next month, and so that's what we're planning to do. We had a very interesting week last week. NCDOT and Duke Energy presented new plans showing easements along Rockfish Road on our side of the road, and it will affect our rebuilding. The impacts will be on our building sign, our flag poles, our police memorial, and our fire memorial. And so we may have to relocate those, and we will talk more about that on the video too. About that. Later, right? I won't steal the thunder. And then in your package, you have our very brief explanation of some changes. And so I think we need to talk about these kind of things and go through them. And we need to make decisions about them. And this is important for contractors so that we can complete work and get things done in a timely way. The first one is an addition for the Town Hall Parks and Recreation parking lot behind this building. This is something that you requested.
Yeah.
We've done studies for it. We've got layout. It adds substantially to the parking. You get a credit of $62,864 against that price because we've already approved repavement of the parking lot behind Town Hall. So this is important. It's a long-term project. It's damage for the town. So I would ask for your approval on this one. You want to wait and do it all at one time?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer to do it one at a time?
You can do it all at one time.
One at one time.
All at one time?
Yeah.
All together.
Okay. All right, the next one is to put the electrical power out to the corner of Rockfish and, Golfview. And this will be for a digital sign in that location. And the possibility is that our building sign may have to go away.
Right.
We'll deal with that later on. But, we took that was submitted 2 months ago. We did an examination of it, and recognized the price downward, I would say, and we'll say that was a good thing. Number 3, for additional IT drops and for an additional rack. We've added so many access control doors and drops in the building, and then needed an additional rack. And so that is something that we need to do. Number 4 is for access control frames and hardware. The wiring, the IT drops that go for those access controls were previously approved in another change order. And this is simply for the hardware and for the frame applications, which were not picked up earlier. Number 5 is for the widening of the walking trail. We have in our bid a walking trail which is up to DOT standards. DOT standards are for a sidewalk to be 5 feet wide. We think that for the walking trail, that it should be wider. People are used to a wider walking trail. And so this is to increase the width of it from 5 feet to 7 feet. And 7 feet matches what you have now. And not being a resident of Hope Mills, I would say to you, that walking trail is a wonderful thing. And I see people using it every time I come up here, early in the morning, late at night, whatever. So it's a very good thing. Number 6 is for the moisture mitigation in the concrete slab. And this is something that was not expected. The slab has been down for a long time. We have a vapor barrier under it. We have sandy soil. The building has been dry in 6 or 8 months. You would not expect to have moisture in the slab. However, strange things happen. We did a fire station in Alphabet on the slab that had been down 40 years, and they had moisture in their slab. And we put the epoxy out on it, and it came back up. So it's very important, you have to test it for moisture, and you have to make sure that that's taken care of. And so the manufacturer recommends a 15 mil mitigation coat to go on top of the slab to mitigate it. And we would recommend that. That's what you need in order to get the warranty from the epoxy joint. And it's really probably a function of the humidity that we're having, because there's a lot of moisture in there, and the concrete slab soaks up some of that. So that's probably where it came from. But it's something we need to do. These next items are smaller items, but they're items that are part of the contingency. We know that we will have a few of them. We work very hard to eliminate them, but they slip up, but we get a few of them eliminated. The first one is just 2 additional exit lights, which the building inspector requested. Second one is to make the decon sink in the cleanup room, decon room for the fire department, operated by foot pedals instead of by hands. The third one is for a Sally Port intake air fan, which did not fit the way we had anticipated, and we had to move it, we had duct work, and we had to remount, and that's unfortunate, but it happened. The fourth one is a modification to the soffit. I would say to you, we put up 194 tons of structural steel on that building. And we had one brace that was out of place, so they had to rework the socket. That 194 tons of steel, one brace is not too bad. The next thing is an office for the police lieutenants, which has been redesignated as a private office. And we need to modify the cabinets in that, which is a small item. And then the last one, for the relocation of 2 cameras, to give a better coverage, better angle of the patient, especially, which would be helpful in identification of people. And I think all of these items are necessary, we explained them very carefully, and ask that for your consideration and your approval. Do you have questions about any of them?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I have a couple questions, just a few. Let's start off with the walking trail widening. I don't know if you can answer this also. The current walking trail, is it currently 7 feet or 5 feet?
The current walking trail is 7 feet.
It-
Kind of varies. It's not an approximate, but 7, 6.
It varies 6 to 8 to 7 feet.
Okay. The portion that's getting redone, was that 7 or 5 when it started?
We had some repairs, but we had an alternate to replace the walking trail.
Mm-hmm.
We did that to meet DOT standards,
Mhm.
because we didn't know what DOT would require. So DOT doesn't really care what we do as long as it's 5 feet wide.
Okay.
But we think that 5 feet wide is not wide enough for what your citizens are accustomed to.
But my question still stands, was it 5 feet before or was it 7 feet before? Because, $26,000 was pretty significant. If it was 5 feet before,
What you have out there is 7 feet.
so it was 7 feet.
But what we replaced it with in the bid was a 5-foot sidewalk, because that is the DOT standard.
Okay.
We're trying to meet the DOT standard.
Deal.
For DOT for a walking trail?
Yeah.
DOT has a sidewalk standard.
Yeah, but it's not a sidewalk.
Yes.
I
But-
guess my whole concern is, if you're replacing it, you went off to a standard that wasn't what we had originally, and now we're paying more into something that should have been in the original plan, but because you went off of DOT standards, now we're having to pay more money into it. I have an issue with that. But I'll go on to my other questions. For the for the moisture mitigation for this slab, what exactly do they plan on doing? Is it some kind of additive to this epoxy or something like that?
They put down a second coating on top of it. They let it blast the surface or grind it. Then they put down a 15 mil thick coating on top of that.
Okay.
Then they put the epoxy on top of that.
Mm.
And I have seen it. When we did it in Alabama, they elected not to do it. And they put down the epoxy and a year later, the epoxy came up. This slab had been down 40 years because it was renovation and code. And if you're not gonna do it, I would suggest you not put down the epoxy.
Where's this flooring located? What part of the?
This is quite a large amount of it. It's the apparatus room in the fire station. It's the corridors inside the police and fire building. It's the mezzanine, it's the balcony. So there's a lot of it. It's a low maintenance.
Okay, so are some of those areas not frequented by people? Because otherwise, I mean, because essentially epoxy is something for, you know, to be aesthetically pleasing, but if it's not gonna have any use, do we really need to epoxy it then?
Now, we've already eliminated the areas that are not heavily traveled.
Okay.
This is only in the very heavily traveled corridors, and the police and fire apparatus room, and those areas that are heavily traveled.
Okay. And then, my last question, for the, number 5, for the police lieutenant cabinets, room is redesignated as an individual office. Is that like a last minute change again? Like, obviously, cause it's on the list, but,
It was, yes, it was. We thought it was going to be a 3-person office. It's going to be a single-person office. The cabinets are set up for 3 people. We will take those cabinets, they will become your property. They can be used in another room that you designate at some point in the future.
okay, so,
It's a small amount. You have to replace some carpet. You have to do the repair the wall. And it's one of those things that happen.
now is there a way, like, for this kind, I mean, there's a saying in the army, but I won't say it because it's inappropriate, but, is there a way we can, you know, properly plan so we don't have to backpedal and fix up mistakes that were done before?
We try very hard to do that. And unfortunately, some things slip through. This is one of them.
Okay.
We work very hard at this.
Mm.
Okay. That is all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
as with Commissioner Skrull at the walking trail, we said DOT. What about ADA? I mean, shouldn't we be focused on trying to make sure that we're ADA compliant when we, you know, that's,
I don't know that ADA has a width requirement. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's less, it's 5 feet or less. But it's not the one, ADA primarily addresses the grades,
Mhm.
the slopes that you have.
Right.
So that's the primary thing.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, the walking trail is just different from the sidewalk.
Mhm.
Because you go out
Yes.
and you see people, 3 people might walking together, talking.
Mhm.
You know, also you see one group leading another group going in different directions. And so it needs to be a little wider. What we're used to is 7 feet. We would make it a little short-sighted in not making it 7 feet, but we didn't know what the cost would be, and we didn't know what DOT would agree to. And so, since then, we have learned that DOT is gonna say, that decision belongs to the town of Hope Mills. So that's how we got here. Now, what you have in your bid is you have a walking trail that is 5 feet wide.
all right.
And
I got
this
that.
is to increase the width to 7 feet.
Here's another question then. how long have the walking trail been in existence? And with the existence that has been and been utilized at the capacity it's been utilized, haven't it been adequate enough to accommodate, or have we seen an increase in usage that requires the expansion to meet the 7 feet to be in that area?
I don't know how long it's been in existence.
Hmm?
Maybe somebody here does.
Yes,
I just know that it's very well used.
right, I know that.
It's a wonderful thing.
I don't get me wrong, I understand, but I'm saying we had it in use. It's been used all these years, all these times. So my question is, have there been any situation that required it to be expanded to 7 feet across the board all the way around? Do you understand the question?
Not to my knowledge, so that's a question maybe for the staff.
So why are we doing it?
Well,
Parts of it are already 7 feet.
so
Okay, all right.
Here's
So
my,
it's 7 feet is what they're saying.
Okay.
And what was happening was the sidewalk is supposed to be 5 feet.
No, I got that. Trust
Okay,
me,
so
madam,
that's why
I
they're
got that.
making it 7 feet,
So-
like to match the rest.
I understand that. Trust me, I understand the bid.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, this walking, let's say for walking trail done it for 5 years. 2 groups been using it the same way all the time. Have there been anything that generated a requirement to require us to make this improvement or expansion? That's what I'm asking. Do them that question? Hmm?
The current walking trail out there right now
Mm-hmm.
is anywhere from like 6.8 feet to 7.
Okay.
Currently,
Right.
when we did the plans,
Mm-hmm.
we designed it at 5.
Okay.
Thinking it's either gonna be a sidewalk or it's gonna be a walking trail.
Okay.
So it was designed as 5, and that's what the bid reflects.
Okay.
But since the current walking trail is 7, and we want a walking trail instead of a sidewalk,
Mm-hmm.
all we're doing is upgrading the walking trail from 5 feet to 7 feet, so it matches what we have right now today.
Okay.
That's the change.
So we're doing a match.
If it's a 5-foot walking trail, it's very narrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a one-way walking trail.
Mhm.
7 feet, like it currently is, can go 2 ways. Like you said, 3 people can walk side by side. Wheelchair, that's better room, different things. So all we're doing is changing it from what the original bid was at 5 feet, to 7 feet, so it matches what we have out there today.
Okay.
This will only be the area from the library to the entrance. the new
Right, I got
entrance. Then the area behind the town hall where connecting behind the fire station
Right.
to the new parking lot.
So in other words, it's not required, but it's desired. Correct?
This is what we would like for it to be to
Yes.
match the current
Okay.
size of the walking trail that's out there now.
All right.
to do a follow-up to his question, Madam
Okay.
Mayor, or his statement, the walking trail's not a make or break. This is not gonna stop the building from being done. Is there a way, cause I mean, if we look at the rest of the walking trail, we're gonna need to, do fixes on that eventually. Is it even worth messing with the money from this if we're gonna, potentially in the long run have to do repairs to the rest of it?
That is.
Well, the walking trail in the new parking lot is 7 feet wide. If we do the parking lot at Town Hall and Parks and Rec, it will be 7 feet wide.
Okay.
Item number 1, okay? If we're gonna get this contractor to do it, we either have to do 5 feet, or we have to adopt this and do 7 feet.
But here's I'm
Sure.
trying to make it so it's understandable. I mean, ultimately, if the money's gonna come out of the contingency fund, or we put in other parts of the budget in the future of getting everything taken care of, this is not a make or break for the, public safety building.
Right.
So
No,
this
It
is,
doesn't have anything to do with the building itself.
Exactly.
It has to do with how we want to utilize the walking trail once the building is completed.
Right.
yes,
5 foot is not adequate for a walking trail.
Okay.
okay,
All right. Let's.
It's good for a sidewalk, but not a walking. The other thing as far as contingency, whatever contingency in this project doesn't get spent, doesn't get to go anywhere else.
Okay.
So it's not like if we don't use it for this, it's not gonna be used for anything else. It just goes away when the project's done. So it's not like we can transfer it to another project or anything else in Parks and Rec. It just doesn't get spent.
okay.
One other question, Madam Mayor. I think you just answered something for me. So the goal is to also, as we do the parking lot, is to also get the same contract to do the walking trail. Or you got to go out for bid for something different. You the same guy?
The new
Same.
parking lot.
Okay, makes sense.
The new
Any other questions?
I do, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I understand everything. My only question would be concerning the moisture in the slab. Over time, would that moisture deteriorate that concrete? I understand
Yes.
the whole change order, but my thing is over time, especially in the engine bay with those heavy trucks on there, would that moisture have the potential of deteriorating that concrete where it all has to be ripped out later on down the road? I mean, if there's a problem with the moisture content in the concrete now, it ain't gonna get no better over time, I don't feel.
Concrete hydrates forever and gains strength forever.
Mhm.
As the moisture evaporates and goes away, it will increase in strength. We've done buildings that we did core tests on concrete 40 and 50 years old, and the strength just goes up. I don't think that there's a problem with that. This is what is recommended by the engineers, and so that's why we look.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I worked with Froling and Robertson for some time early on, and so I tested construction materials every day. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we're not going to have that
Sure.
problem if we can fix it now. But if you're good with it, then that's good enough.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
I would not, if there was a long-term problem that our engineers could foresee, we would not be having this discussion.
Yes, sir.
Different
Yeah.
discussion.
Just looking out for, you know, down the road.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
I would add that, you know, Scott came to me, he said he questioned flooring contractor saying there was the percentages we saw, so we did additional testing from a third party to make sure the tests were accurate. And if you don't do the application, it's not warranted, it makes.
Yeah, I'm good with the application and all that. I'm good with the change order. My question was just over time, that moisture, we're not worried about that moisture deteriorating the concrete where it starts busting up and cracking and coming up. So I'm good with everything.
That's not the issue.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Sorry.
All right. Any other questions?
Now we done.
Do we have action?
Now I'll make a motion that we approve change order number 10 for 1,106,889.
Have a motion to approve change order number 10. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
In October? November.
All right.
October's close, so maybe say, yeah, before Halloween.
No change. No change order.
Okay.
There is one other thing that I
Okay.
want to bring up to y'all. I want to do,
Change order.
just like we're adding to the project to do the parking lot back here, since we do still have some contingency funds available, we want to look at the possibility of maybe adding some fuel tanks for the town, our own gasoline and diesel that the town would operate and control. But before we spend money on it, getting a design and the architect and the engineer to design this, we want to just see, is this something that the council wants us to look at? The engineer's estimate right now shows it would probably be, give or take, maybe $50,000, and then maybe another 10 or 15 to build a shelter and a concrete pad and some stuff like that to put the fuel tanks on.
Mayor,
Something that
I'm,
wants to bring back to you.
I would like, I was going to just ask you that. Can you bring that back at another meeting? And with the pricing and everything, what we're looking at
To
doing?
get a price and have them bid it, we have to spend, the architect and the engineer have to design it. But before we spend even that.
But we have contingency money, we have the contingency money left to pay for that? Is that what you're saying?
We did.
We have money that'll cover
Before we
that?
spent any of it, I wanted to see if this is something you want us to pursue.
Mayor, I have a
Matt.
question.
Yes.
Okay.
How big are we saying for this tank or these tanks?
It'd be two, probably 1,000 or 1,500 gallon tanks, one diesel, one highway fuel. They would be for town vehicles only. They would be, if you're familiar with the site or seen it, the area behind the fence, behind the police off the regular road, so anybody getting gas, it wouldn't block the road. So that would be part of the design to do a
Cut through or
kind of a
something.
cutout where you can pull off the road and pull up to the tanks. If y'all have seen the tanks behind the Stony Point Tube Station, the one out, what is that road?
Wildest Beach Road.
Yeah, it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
They have two tanks back there. They're encased in concrete, so you don't have to do the containment.
Right.
And they've got a shelter on it. We've been meeting with a local fueling company that guarantees if we get these, they would own the tanks, they would keep them full for us. And that in case of emergencies like hurricanes, or there's no power, stuff like that, the town would still have fuel, because we would try and get it tied into the generator so they would always work. That's just another thing that we thought of. The original plan, we were thinking about fuel tanks, but it was cost prohibitive at that time, and we didn't know how the bids would come in, so we took it out. Now we have the opportunity, we can still do fuel tanks. We got
Okay.
room for it, and so before we spend any money, I just wanted to see if that's something you want us to pursue or not.
Madam Mayor. Yeah. Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Before, I have a petroleum background. Trust me, in those tanks, I've worked with many different type. Now, we talk about above ground, self-contained. Now, you can have self-contained tanks that does not require the concrete structure, because they come tank bit inside a tank to prevent leakage and spillage.
Right, we've
So,
looked at several different kinds,
right.
and that's one that I've seen.
So it's okay to, I agree we should look at the possibility, but we need to look at the in-depth cost advantages to the town enduring, because those tanks have a shelf life and they got to be replaced at some point or another. So look at all that.
So we would lease them, we would just pay a fee, and then the cost savings and the fuel cost.
It brings us back to that and let's see what it look like.
Okay, actually, the fuel company would own the tanks. So as far as replacement, that would be on them, not the tank.
What, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Another component to this is schedule is very important. The contractor's schedule is for him to complete this project by mid-December, including phase 3. And he will not be willing to stay beyond that to do additional work. So if we're gonna do it, we need to get the drawings done, we need to get it priced, we need to get it back to you for your approval, for that to happen. So, I mean, as you said, it's already October almost, so that leaves November and December, or half of December. So it's gonna be we need to move very quickly. We can't defer that decision. But
And
we do have to get the documentation ready for pricing.
what are like for spillage? Because when I was in the military, you know, soldiers fill their vehicles, diesel, mow gas, whatever,
Yes.
and spillage onto the, ground and, contamination of the land and stuff like that. What about that kind of stuff?
That's just stuff we're gonna be looking at in this process. But they would be self-contained tanks. So that helps with some of that. They would be above ground, not in the ground, not contaminating that area. There'd be a concrete pad underneath them that they're sitting on. So, all that would be taken into consideration when we design this.
Okay.
And bring it back to you.
But they will be dual tanks like you're talking about. So you're gonna have that. It saves a lot of other things that you have to
Now,
do.
and you just said something just a moment ago that for us to move, we need to make a decision, not now, but later. Or the contractor that will use President Louisiana is going to go, right? Yeah, I mean, eventually his job is finished over there, so we have to go back out and rebuild again, right? In that sense, if we don't move now and take advantage of him on site right now.
I think what we've got to do, since you have said you're interested in it, we've got to get the plans ready, and we've got to get the price, and we've got to get back to you next month for you to decide yes or no, if you want to do it. Does that make sense?
I know it makes sense, but my question is, do we need to pay money now, allocate money now for you to move forward with just initial planning?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so right now it's just discussion.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll bring all that back, but before we spend anything on design, we wanted to see if this was something.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Are we got to spend something on design now?
I thought that's what they just
Yeah.
said.
We'll get it approved, we'll get it all approved once we know the amount. Because we don't know how much the design's gonna be right now.
Right.
Gotta pay for the
That's exactly what I'm
design.
getting at. I don't want to spend not one dime now. Just to me, it's just a,
And have money spent for a design and then we say no
You're
because
right.
it was a poor design, you know.
He said he was gonna bring something
Okay.
back to us for
Right.
approval.
But you gotta pay for that
The
design.
design's gonna be, but if we design it, we're gonna have to pay for that design.
Right.
If you don't choose not to do it, we still have to pay for the design.
You could also choose to design it and build it later too.
How much is design gonna cost us? We don't know.
We don't know that yet. The engineers.
These
have to have
timelines.
it, so.
It's the same designer that did the
Right.
parking lot.
Madam
Man, you
Mayor,
know,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we ask them to bring a figure back that it will cost us to design and install these tanks and pumps.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
have time for that. If we wanna add this to the project, that's why we're bringing it up tonight. This is pretty much, it's not gonna cost a lot to design, that's gonna be the lower end of the spectrum. But if it costs about 50,000 to have, that's his estimate, have the changes to the roadway and the concrete pad and some grading, you know, that's what we need to look at.
And you would have the drawings.
I'm not supporting that.
Right. Otherwise, it would make, like you just said, and the town manager said, if we get it designed, if we choose not to do it now, we have it designed, we can do it in the future. We just have to find the funding at that point, because this project would be closed down. So, proceed or not? That's all we need to know.
My motion was to proceed, but if it's not gonna do any good to make that motion, I will withdraw it.
I can't estimate what the design is going to cost, and the engineer that designs it won't know until he actually does the design.
I will make one more comment, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
There's a couple of reasons why it's hard, especially for me. I can't speak for everyone else, but like doing a last minute thing, and I get it. You know, we have this money; it's coming down to the wire. But to make these high value, high dollar decisions, and if we don't make this decision now, we can't make this decision later. Or we're not going to have this. Putting the pressure on us for something that costs money, you know, I don't like it. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents.
The only thing we need at this point would be the design cost.
Um,
It'll be totally up to y'all if you choose to actually install it.
I'm not in favor of it.
no.
I withdraw the motion.
It's an
Okay.
opportunity to have fuel tanks for the town, but it's up to y'all.
Any idea how much cost effective this would be? What kind of savings it would be for fuel?
On
Don't
the
have-
diesel, they estimated 30%.
Yeah, we wouldn't have to buy fuel at gas stations anymore. We have our own inventory.
We might,
Fuel. It'd be less traveling back and forth. The guys that presented the fuel cost to us said anytime you have town vehicle stop at a gas station, they might be
That's
going
it.
inside purchasing some snacks or a drink or something like that, taking time out of the day, different things like that. They're getting fuel here, they're only getting, but
That comes
Systems
up
and
with-
monitor it would be a lot more concise with it on site. Not that that's easy to do, but it's a lot less to manage than our current system with the gas cars.
it's not a have to, this would definitely be a want, it'd be something nice for the town to have, especially in emergency situations.
Both of them are the same, you know.
And long term, we would definitely say, but I don't have a breakdown.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Councilman, I think, I work in emergency management and I've been in situations in hurricane storms, that, you know, power gets knocked out and if you got a fuel supply, them trucks don't run on air. Them police cars don't run on air. And when that gas station on the corner that we get fuel at doesn't have a backup generator and they don't have no power, you don't get no gas. And them calls keep coming in. If we have a chance and we've got money in this project to secure our own fuel supply, even if it's for emergency purposes, I think it's a plus that when I first started working for the town many years ago, we had our fuel point down here at the maintenance garage, and it worked out good. But I would be in agreement with Commissioner Legg, and if I need to second his motion, I'll second it to move forward with the process on the design. Whether we decide to do it or not, we'll still have the design in hand, and we have the money to cover it in the contingency for this project. So I'll second Mr. Legg's motion.
I gotta make it again first. I
Oh, you
withdrew.
already
He
withdrew?
withdrew it.
Okay.
I make a motion that we authorize Drew, or whomever it might have to be, town manager, to get the numbers together on what it would cost us to get the design and the fuel tanks in and everything it takes to make them functional.
I'll second that.
So what the motion is actually stating is that you're authorizing them to proceed with the design, and then from that design, they could come back with what it would cost to actually build or acquire the gas tanks. Okay, so I have a motion, I have a second. Do we have any other other
Ye-
discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Here's what bothers me. And like I said, before I came out the world of the fuel business, trust me, I put up temps, picked up, rolled, moved stuff. We had them on skids. You know, hell, I'd rather spend the excuse me, I'd rather spend the money on a truck that had baffles in them that stored the fuel, it's mobile, can move around, than with the tanks. I don't have to worry about design. The $50,000 I spend on design, if I got to spend that much, I can take that much and almost buy a truck. I really can, to be honest with you. So, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not in favor, because not only this, but we're not the first ones to have designs for stations already. Somebody have a design already in place. Why are we paying for a design?
Design of our sites are.
Yeah, we have to design it for this site.
For that site.
In my opinion, Madam Mayor, in my opinion, you still have to pay all this money back. So I feel like we just keep adding on. We
Yes.
just keep adding stuff on, and then when we're asking for other stuff, we don't have the money. But I feel like with this project, we just keep adding on, and it's like a student loan. You got to pay that money back at some point. So I am not in favor of it. I feel like we've approved enough stuff. We've added enough stuff on. I'm not in favor of it.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote then. All those in favor of proceeding with the design, raise your right hand. All those opposed? So, no, we do not, we don't move forward with gas. Thank you, sir.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes,
one other thing on this change order number 10, I wanted to call recognition to is the parking lot situation that we approved tonight to move forward with. It's a lot of taxpayer money, but a lot of taxpayers in this town has come to this board and asked that improvements be made to the parking situation for the ballparks and behind town hall here. And this board took a step in that direction tonight to try to alleviate some of that problem. I just wanted to make sure that was known, that was part of this change order.
right, yes. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is proclamation. And this is, whereas the service rendered the United States by the American mother and family is the greatest source of the country's strength and inspiration. Whereas the American mother and family are doing so much for the moral and spiritual uplift of the people of the United States, and hence so much for good government and humanity. Whereas American Gold Star mothers and families suffered the supreme sacrifice in the loss of their sons and daughters in wars and conflicts through the years. Whereas on June 23, 1936, a joint congressional resolution designated the last Sunday in September as Gold Star Mother's Day, and 2011, President Barack Obama amended the day to Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jackie Warner, Mayor of the Town of Hope Mills, do hereby proclaim Sunday, September 25th, 2022, as Gold Star Mothers and Families Day in the Town of Hope Mills, in tribute and urge all citizens to join the expression of appreciation to the many Gold Star mothers and families in our community who have given so much on our behalf in times of both war and peace. Next, we have a presentation by Steve Kendall and Richie Hines with NCDOT. Hello. Welcome.
It's good to see you. Good to be with the Board of Commissioners tonight. My name's Drew Cox. Steve Kimball's with us here. He's our project development engineer for DOT, and Richie Hines is our district engineer. Many of you may know him. I'm the division engineer. You may remember Greg Burns, who is now retired from DOT. You know that, Mayor?
I didn't know that.
At the end of last month, but I stood in for Greg. We went to be the Eastern deputy. We're here tonight to talk to you about a couple of projects that we're really excited about in Hope Mills. We think will provide some needed improvements to the area with the traffic that you currently have and with the traffic we expect to see with another project we're very excited about, I-295. Basically, just to give you an update on that, I-295 is now completely under contract. And we expect that to be completed late 2025, early 2026, and that will complete the entire loop around Bevel from 95 north to 95 south. So we're very excited about that. With that in mind, we've got a couple of projects in town that I think will have definite benefit for us to be able to complete. And in developing those projects, some of the challenges we have with cash flow over the last few years, one of the things that we were looking at was some of the kind of the improvements that we make with these projects, pedestrian improvements, multi-purpose path type issues. We wanted to look at different municipalities at different options to see if there may be some way that we could realize some cash flow, realize savings in the cost of the project to deliver improvements to the project that the town were in agreement with. So with that in mind, our project U-4709, which actually is by the front door of this building, it widens Rockfish Road from NC 59 down through Gulfview, and it widens Gulfview from NC 59 down through Rockfish Road. With the new policy on complete streets, this project fell into a document date where this project was included in those improvements. So with that, we would look at doing the improvements on both sides of each road for sidewalk. We would also do bike lanes, which would mean a wider outside lane in the roadways. We were looking at the possibility of, if you eliminate the bike lanes in the roadways and do maybe a sidewalk on one side and do a MUP, multi-use path, on the other side of either street. And what we determined with that is actually more expensive to do that. Of course, with these projects, with this current policy, there's minor expense to the family if you enter into these agreements. So that what we were looking at with the alternatives to do a sidewalk on one side of each street, and multi-use path on one side of each street. The cost to the town, the participation required by the town is $66,000.
Ma'am, how much was that? How much was that again?
66,000.
$66,000.
Mayor, I don't mean to interrupt, but is this in our packet? Because I don't see anything in our packet with these figures or,
It was just a public presentation by DOT.
We're
okay,
not asking for a decision tonight, we're just.
No, no.
okay.
No, information slides,
There's
no
a
stuff.
much larger cost to DOT. There's additional right-of-way cost and design cost to the neighborhood, probably $500,000 to $600,000. There's a substantial increase to deliver that. So if you fall back to what we had originally proposed, which is your 2-foot widening in the roadway and then sidewalks on either side of both streets, there's no cost to the town and there's no additional right-of-way needs. So, I mean, there's really no additional cost that we would incur to deliver the project. It's exactly as we originally exception to that is where you run into your more purpose path that y'all were just discussing here in front of the building. We tie into that and utilize that, so you don't end up doubling up, two paths, side by side. So that, this project is scheduled currently, to let the contract in June of 2023. We do have some pressures on right of way, with, a couple of issues to deliver that, but we're pressing very hard, to try to meet that date. And so for this, we would want to have concurrence from the town on either option, probably by early spring on that. So there's no rush on this, we're just coming to the town and trying to let you know where we are with what we did with the investigation for that. So, any questions on what we're saying?
Mayor?
Yes.
Is it possible we can get some kind of graphics and some figures and numbers and stuff?
Yes, I mean, we're glad to do that. This is just, it's real informal. We just want to come talk through what we've just been able to determine. So we're glad to provide that to you. Okay. The second project, one other thing I want to mention, that the timeline to construct this project is about a 2-year time frame. You can imagine 295 construction on these two streets. Y'all got construction going on right now. Y'all have a lot going on. Oak Mill's gonna be a good place for a while. So, anyways, with Camden Road, that project is scheduled to let the contract in October of 2023.
Okay.
We have some pressures on right away with this project. There's, I think it's over 200 parcels that we're trying to acquire. We're pushing very hard to meet that date. But it does not fall under the new policy. So, what DOT has traditionally done on projects is we come into an urban area and we construct a widening project such as what we're proposing to do with Camden Road. And we build berms for sidewalks. And if the towns want to participate with the department in providing sidewalks, then there's a match. And in the case of Oak Mills, it's a 90-10 match. DOT. Can't hear me. That's not a problem. I'm sorry. There's a 10% match by the town. So
Okay, it's not bad.
the cost for Oak Mills to do sidewalk on one side of this road is what we were looking at. And the other thing that's interesting with this is you've got areas where the sidewalk is in the town limits, but then to have continuity with sidewalk, you get outside of the town limits. So DOT would have a match with the town for the portion inside the town limits. If there's a desire to connect this all the way through, then it will be the responsibility of the town to pay for that difference. So, to do sidewalk on one side of Camden Road, and this would go from NC 59, all the way down to I-295, that cost is approximately $100,000. That's the city's match.
That's not bad.
Now, if we got into a situation where you wanted to have sidewalk on both sides of Camden Road, that's possible too. We have that done in some cases, but that cost would be 100% at the responsibility of the city. That total cost would be $280,000. So, your total cost for participation in that would be around $380,000. So that's the question we would come to you with. Number one, would you like to see that on one side of Camden Road or both sides? And then the second question would be, do you want to be responsible for the cost of the sidewalk that's outside of the city limits to have continuity all the way through? The other thing to mention with that is that when we build sidewalks in municipal areas with projects such as this, we enter into maintenance agreements with the municipality to be responsible for that. DOT does not maintain sidewalks in areas that are not municipal areas. We have seen some municipalities that have agreed to maintain sidewalks outside the municipal limits to try to have continuity, with sidewalk that is inside the city. So again, all these are choices that the town can decide to make. We're not here to do, one decision or the other. We just simply provide information so the town can make an informed decision. With the let date on this project being October of 2023 by late spring for that project. So, we're glad to provide any written documentation that you'd like to see and consider. If you have a workshop, Mayor, that you'd like us to come back with maps and sit down around the
Yes.
table, we're glad to do
Yes.
that. And we're just simply trying to get the information I want to take with you guys tonight. So we're glad to take questions on that, if you have any questions on that.
Any questions?
Madam Mayor, I do have a
Yes.
question. And we're talking about the widening process, and I know at one point they was talking about taking a large portion of this park out here. I don't know, and I know they came back with some modifications, but the question been asked is, what impact is it now gonna have on the Monument Park out here with the modifications that were submitted?
Steve, I'm gonna rely on you for that. I know that there was not, impacts to the monument or any of those issues that had to be moved.
Correct. That's exactly-
Better to the easement.
That's exactly right, Drew. We did give a hard look at that monument area and basically determined that the slope stakes that we showed, which is the construction limits, did not impact the monument whatsoever, so, go ahead, sorry.
When you say the monument area, are we talking about the tank, not the tank, but the cannon as well from that point on?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, that's exactly right.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a statement. When the mayor arranged the workshop, detailed information, the processes of the project, and the timelines and the cost data would be greatly appreciated.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
sir, how is this going to affect the ball field across the street? Is that taking any of that ball field part or just outside the fence?
Really impacts the ball field.
Thank you.
The benefits that I see through this area is that it was kind of neat to come in tonight and see so many kids on ball fields and walk around with parents. And the benefit with that is whether you end up with two sidewalks or the sidewalk and you got somewhere for people to walk when this is over.
Yes.
And so it's going a longer way to making this like a livable, walkable community. I think that's one of the benefits that you really get out of the project.
And the mayor also, just as far as Drew, you let dates for these projects, just want to say that there's some challenges with right-of-way and utility relocations that we have to look at very hard. And Drew talked about the number of portions we have on one of the projects, and these dates that he has given you, we're trying to meet these dates, but we might have some, look at these hard dates again, and possibly look at possible delay a little bit. So we're going to try to keep on schedule. We're working very, very hard to do this, but these dates might not be, set in stone as far as right now.
And the reason we're pressing on that, and you know what I'm getting ready to say, Mayor, the Canyon Road project is so long, it's about a 3-year project with
Wow.
traffic that you have, the pressure you have, y'all know it better than I do. If you start to look at these completion dates, if we can let them on time, they all complete about the time 295 is finished. And we're trying really hard to deliver that, but we do have some challenges.
Okay.
We're doing that, so we're doing our best with that. And one other thing I wanted to mention, if we go back to the other project, for downtown here, the issue we mentioned earlier with the firehouse, our staff has met with town staff this week. I think we've got that resolved. We're working to solution on that, because we absolutely don't want to see any kind of conflict with the new, facilities that are being constructed here. So I think we've got that worked out as well. Anything else?
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you for coming out.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And there is a letter that we received from DOT, from Mr. Cox, that I shared with the Veterans Committee. So we'll make sure that we get that in reference to the memorial, the things that we know are going to take place. So appreciate y'all taking care of that also. Thank you. Okay, next we have a presentation by Rustic Burger regarding an Easter egg hunt on April the 1st, 2023.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, forgive me, I'll have to talk in front of people.
No problem.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do something big that will bring a lot of attention and be 2017, Legoland in Florida did an Easter egg hunt of 501,000 eggs, had over 10,000 kids participate. I'm looking to do an Easter egg hunt maybe for this time here. I'm talking to Southview High School about using their parking lot, ball fields and stuff of that nature. I've been dealing with Megan, Parks and Rec, trying to figure out what we can do this at. We're looking to do 550,000 eggs on April 1st, 2023. Large Easter egg hunt in history. Kids will be coming out. NBC News, the Today Show coming out, the massive coverage, and the economic impact it would have as a group. You have 10,000 kids, where Legoland had 15. We have to have at least 10,000 kids. 10,000 kids times 2, per parent per, at least 25 people guaranteed coming out, spending money. Also food trucks, local food trucks would have come out. All of that money we pay back into the town for us. No money is coming to us. All money is going back into the town. So that's what we want to talk to you guys about and see, you guys will be on board with, discussing the idea further. I need to get together numbers for you guys. I need to get together, more detail for you guys, break it down to a science for you, so you can understand exactly what we're looking at. We are not looking for the town to cover the entire event. We're looking at town to partner with us, and we'll cover some of their costs as well. So I'm not going to ask the town to cover the entire event. Absolutely not. We'll take on some of that cost as well too.
Questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask Megan a question. Can you come forward, please? Is this going to affect your plans in any way, shape, or form?
Well, if we move forward with it, we wouldn't have an Easter egg hunt. It would be in conjunction with.
What would that do to our Parks and Rec program when it comes to furnishing stuff for the children? What would it do to the Parks and Rec program as far as furnishing stuff for the children? I mean, they'll have an Easter egg hunt, but is this something that we want to participate in?
Yeah, absolutely. He's gotten a couple numbers.
Together, yes. Right now, just for the eggs alone, I'm not sure if you guys seen, but it's hard for them to get candy right now. They're talking about candy for Halloween being short supply. I got a company that was going to do the eggs for 11 cents an egg. That works out to right around $61,000. But the eggs come stuffed and ready to go. These eggs can be dropped in planes and helicopters as well. We talk about maybe trying to come out and help put eggs out there. And sir, as far as you're asking for kids, we'll make sure that activities for all the kids. It's a family-friendly event. The goal is to bring the kids and families together and to get back into the community. The ages will be from 1 to 12. Program in the town starts. After 12 years old, then we go again from 1 to 12 for disabled children and children that are not able to participate in the traditional Easter egg hunt.
I guess what I was thinking was, on that 1 to 12, are they all going to be together?
Oh, no, sir. No,
They
sir.
broke down in groups?
Yeah, so we have Megan with Parks and Rec, she's gonna help us with logistics, organizing that, because that'll be a big event. So she's gonna help us break it down into age groups to make it more manageable.
Madam Mayor, go ahead.
No, Megan, how much are we budgeted? How much do we normally spend on the Easter egg hunt?
Like $3,000 to $4,000.
Okay.
Okay, so my question
That
is,
includes breakfast with the wedding as well.
okay, so my question is, could we participate and keep and stay within the amount that we would normally contribute? Can we stay within our budget? Because the money is already budgeted for this year. That's all we have.
Right, and I understand that. That's why, I was going to talk to you guys about it, because I think the most important thing to look at is the economic impact it would have. Food trucks out there, $100 per food truck, that might come back into the town. So people from all over the place come in and food, the Today Show. If you see the Today
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I think the biggest hindrance right now, though, is that if we do decide to move forward with this, like he has said, that we have to order over 500,000 eggs, that has to be made, that order has to be made by December 1st.
All right.
So in the meantime, from now until then, funds
Appreciate
have to be raised or donated or gifted, to purchase those eggs, so that's kind of where we're
Yeah,
at.
all right.
And right now, I did talk to the company that would be providing the eggs. They are going to do half when we order, the other half 2 weeks after delivery. Delivery would be around the middle of January.
What was that figure again?
60,000.
60,000.
60,000.
Around 61,000.
Well, hey, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
let's put together a plan right quick, present it to us, and let's see what we have. That's my recommendation.
Fair enough. I think that's good.
This kind of is the plan.
It is
To
a
be
plan?
honest with you, it's
I-
either we move forward or, you know, unfortunately, this is our busiest time with our fall events, our Christmas events, so us, Megan and myself can't dedicate a lot of time to going
Right.
out and, you know, trying to find the funds for this, because we're focusing on our events. I do think it's an awesome idea, I think it would be an awesome opportunity, it's just kind of one of those, you know, we need, or find a partner or somebody that would be willing to purchase the eggs
And,
and leave.
and like I say, you know, the town will not be responsible for all of that, not at all. You know, we will be coming in with some skin in the game as well.
That's well above what we normally spend.
$4,000 to spend this year for the Easter eggs. So it may, I don't know if it's something that we can maybe look into next year, but I think we need to stay within our budget for the Easter egg hunt, between $3,000 and $4,000. That's my opinion.
But I think, you know, the most beneficial thing when you look at it is the economic impact it will bring. You know, because folks are coming out buying, you know, they travel out here and they're buying food, they're buying gas, they're paying taxes on that. That money's going back into the town. So I think, you know, that may outweigh the cost of the eggs. That's my opinion. You know, I'm not on that side of the table, so I don't know, you know, the guys, but, you know, this, I'm looking out from my side that, you know, maybe, because I know my own business, we have to pay taxes, sales use tax on everything that customers buy. So I can only imagine, you know, the amount of tax revenue that you guys would generate just by allowing this event to happen and by allowing people to come from all over the place to come out. There's a lot of, you know, how many eggs, how many people come out, you know how big it's going to be. I mean, there'll be a lot of people.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I have a suggestion, it's just a suggestion. I would see about going to the Chamber of Commerce and seeing potentially getting sponsors to
Yes.
assist with
That's a
it.
good idea.
That way, you know, they'll be able to push it out through their businesses and they may be able to monetarily
Yes.
assist with that large amount of money.
It's a good idea.
Because like what Mayor Pro Tem was saying, you don't have $3,000, you know. I'm trying to think of different solutions to assist you.
Like I said.
But I would talk with the Chamber of Commerce and see if you can do a meeting with them and do a presentation with them as well.
And also what I like to do too is I also do have other sponsors. John with J&R Furniture, he said he wanted to, you know, come on as a sponsor as well. I asked him to see what the town would be willing to do, because I like to advertise this event with Megan in conjunction with Parks and Rec. That's a town promotes event. So that's what I was trying to figure what the town would be going to agree to and cover the difference, or, you know, see what we need to do to make that happen.
No, I'm not.
Madam Mayor, so we have a line item that is budgeted for the year. So we can't, and we have, as you can, you sat here through the presentation tonight, you see a lot of other things that we have. So we can't, I can't tell finance director to take $40,000 extra and put it to, so that's why I think it's a wonderful event. I agree with Commissioner Scarola's suggestion, and if we could help partner with our budget, then I would be okay with that.
I think what you said the first time about maybe pushing this event for 2024 might be a better idea. Maybe before we get, or when you guys go back around to do budgeting, have time to actually allocate it into the budget. Right now, I know the town has spent quite a bit of money on the public safety building, money that the town didn't have. have to miss that deadline.
Ma'am.
You guys are in session when it's already.
Well, Marco's here.
Yeah, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Maverick, just skip with our Park and Recs, Megan and the Park and Recs director, and come up with a plan and make the recommendation. We go from there.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you, sir.
you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Old North State League presentation regarding a proposal to move the Fayetteville Shoots College baseball team to Hope Mills.
Good evening, my name is Reggie Howard. I'm the CEO of the Old North State League. This is Al Martin. He does more of the day-to-day stuff. The Old North State League is the largest college baseball summer league in North Carolina. We have 14 teams across the state, one of them being in Fayetteville. We've grown tremendously because we try to do everything family friendly, driving in the day and seeing all these kids out here with some calls. We try to do that as much as we can. Alex got a couple, sheets, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, pass those out. Just make sure you give our town clerk one to go in the minutes too.
So our proposal is to renovate your leaching field and move the felt shoes over to the leaching field. We've done this the past 3 years. Our latest one, we did the San Luis Community College. We renovated that field. That was about a $500,000 renovation. And we started a team there. Last year, we had the city regional.
Thank you.
The year before that, we did Swett's Mill.
Thank you, sir.
The pictures that you see are the latest with the sand hills. So I'll read this. The Old North State League has continued to grow across the state and around the country. After much discussion, we are interested in offering a proposal in the Fayetteville Shoots College baseball team to Hope Mills. The Old North State League strongly believes in partnership with the town of Hope Mills will take the team to heights while also benefiting from community engagement and economic revenue. The ONSL will relocate the Fayetteville Shoots to Hope Mills for the next 15 years. The Shoots, our team, will pay the town of Hope Mills $10,000 a year for unlimited usage of the field between May 20th and July 31st. The ONSL will retain all revenue between these dates for concessions, beer sales, merchandise sales, advertising, like that. In exchange, the town of Hope Mills will invest up to $150,000 into the old Legion field behind the Hope Mills Parks and Recreation to heat it up to the college baseball standard. So the ONSL will be in charge of how the money is spent to bring the field to the league and college standards. We use the contractors. Last year we did the Reedsville field. They spent around $200,000, and we contracted that with them to have a number of users for 20 years. Lois believes so strongly in this region, and that means in particular that we will pay yearly for the next 15 years of the town for return on investment for the life of the agreement. The town will choose in the future, in future years, more renovations, we can talk about that then. Our goal is to make the Shoots one of the best college summer league teams in the country, to bring the town to the family friendly and community dollars and economic revenue of life to the agreement. That was the city's proposal. And then in saying that, the previous gentleman, and the river mentioned about sponsorships, we'll help sponsor, we'll pay for this. You guys do this, we'll take $5,000 towards that project. We like to be really solid.
Questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I have a couple of questions. Why, what was the reason why you're leaving Fayetteville and coming to Hope Mills?
Leading, we're playing at JP Riddle.
Okay.
And we,
Yeah, we play at JP Riddle currently. We play at JP Riddle Stadium currently, and when the community college took over the stadium, it really limited the ability of college summer baseball teams. That's why the Swamp Dogs left, because they couldn't sell beer, they couldn't do advertising. The main revenue streams to support a college summer baseball team were wiped out. And with the Woodpeckers being in Fayetteville, it's very hard to market. Even though they're completely different levels of play, one are college players and the other are professional, a lot of people relate the two together because they're Woodbat baseball teams. And so, even though they're very close in distance, we believe that relocating
Okay. My other question, so I guess from last year, the Shoots played 31 scheduled games. So about 15 or so were home games. So you're talking about the usage for 15 years, and you'll pay essentially back 10,000 a year, that 150,000. Okay. I don't know.
So we'll have it, basically 2 months of each of the year.
2 months of the year?
Yes, you guys will have the rest.
Okay. One of my issues is, because I always have issues. Okay, so we're working on building a parking lot as it is for that area. But even if we get hundreds of people, that's a lot of people, and then that's gonna affect traffic massively in that small area. That's gonna be hard.
Madam Mayor.
Yes,
you
sir.
finish, Commissioner?
Yeah, yeah.
Madam Mayor, here's my issue with this. 150,000 for 10 years, correct? How does that benefit Hope Mills?
We'll pay you back 10,000 a year, so you're complete, expense.
But I give you 100,
The other 10 months of the year, you gotta get using college level.
doesn't matter, I'm giving you $150,000 up front, interest-free. It's like getting an interest-free loan.
Right.
Would you agree? It's not a good business deal.
I mean, Reedsville did it last year.
We're not Reesville.
I understand, but they did it because they see the other 10 months of the year, that's where they make the money.
Mhm.
You make tournaments, whatever it was, you want to be in or college level. It is an economic benefit from, we bring a lot of out-of-town people, our teams bring a lot of out-of-town people to the team, stay local.
Here's a recommendation. We have a Parks and Recs director. If it's okay with the town manager, get with our Parks and Recs director, y'all sit down and talk, draft up a plan and see how the town would actually benefit from it, and we'll go from there. Sound like a plan?
Madam Mayor, I just have another
Yes.
question. What months do you say they play during? June, July. So that's still going on during the Woodpeckers games still. So you're still competing with Woodpeckers, and then we also wouldn't get any revenue from any of the sales. So, yeah. I concur with Commissioner Mitchell, get with the town manager and talk with Parks and Rec.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes, sir.
What is the ordinance for beer sales on the athletic field?
So we, I mean, you know,
Only town events.
It's currently written, it's only permitted for town-sponsored events.
Hmm.
the laws with the state for animal life, so.
Yeah, I mean, we can change
Yes.
that, but that's how it currently is.
Yes.
Our concern is, you know, with all these partnerships, they come to us and they want us to partner, but, you know, my initial understanding was, I guess the Easter egg guy left, but, you know, like with the Easter eggs, they were gonna pay for all of it, and
Mhm.
use our site, and then it turned into, oh, now we need all the money.
Yes.
And same thing with the partnership with this initially, I didn't get involved in this, Maxie stepped up and so did the park rec director. And initial ask was, hey, we're gonna spend considerable money to upgrade your field, and it sounded great, and then it turned into a partnership and contributing on the town.
Oh,
It's hard, we have a lot of issues and monetary needs. Partnering is an easy thing for Chancellor to do when you're bringing in economic development and jobs. It's not so easy to do when it's sports, recreation. We do have intentions to build ball fields. I don't know if that lines up with the minor league or the college level. You know, I don't like to be the bearer of bad news, but it seems like we've gotten a lot of these recently. There's only so much we can do partnering.
yes.
I do know our master plan for Parks and Rec has that field going into a multi-purpose field if we ever do the master plan. So I don't know, the additions to this site here has its challenges, but you know, we're always here to understand and listen and provide opportunity and try to partner, but at the same time, we don't have real deep pockets and a lot of these, and are restricted by the statutes of what we can do. So I don't wanna be there
Right.
throwing cold water on anybody, but it is a challenge.
Madam Mayor, again,
Yes, sir.
if I get with the town manager and our athletic with our director, Lamarco of the departments, and then y'all make the recommendation to us, and we'll go from there. If that's okay with you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I think there would have to be a lot of ADA improvements out here as well, because we just have a concrete pad for the bleachers and stuff to sit on.
Yeah, that's what the recommendation for, they get everything.
No. So, I know we've been trying to bring all of our stuff up to ADA standards, what they're required or better. And Lamarco and Max and them have done a good job on these ball fields, making sure that the ADA stuff was brought up to where it was decent, not decent, some of it really good. You go in there in a wheelchair on some of those, there's no getting through that dirt over there. Just something to have to see what comes up.
So the recommendation is to have these gentlemen talk with Mr. Morrison and with Mr. Dove as far as a formal proposal, or have y'all done that and that's what this is?
I can't hear him.
Okay.
Okay. And I would suggest also, and having been here when the Swamp Dogs actually came and did a proposal or tried to attempt a proposal to us through our Parks and Rec committee. And so that would be another avenue, would be to have that committee that's made up of community volunteers to listen to what the proposal looks like and what it would mean to our community. The Swamp Dogs proposal, in essence, was one that the opportunity that we afford our young college athletes, that actually are a baseball town, and a lot of our young men, and softball too, but a lot of our young men go off to college to play ball, and then many of them need summer league to advance. So we have had a proposal. It was didn't go very far, and of course the Swamp Dogs left. But I do believe that Parks and Rec committee, along with Mr. Morrison and Mr. Dove, and then come back with something that might be more realistic that the board could listen to. That would be okay with the board? I mean, no, there's no action tonight other than just a recommendation. Okay? Thank you so much. Okay, next we have presentation of pedestrian plan by Mr. McLaughlin. And this is behind tab 5. I know he's getting ready to put it up on the screen also.
In the interest of time, I'll try to cut this short. In your packets, you do have a copy of the presentation for the plan. With just a brief history, we're here for adoption of it. But in 2020, the town of Hope Mills was awarded a $60,000 grant through the NCDOT Integrated Mobility Division and Transportation Division's matching grant program. The overall goal of the program focuses on encouraging the development of comprehensive municipal pedestrian plans in an effort to facilitate a comprehensive transportation network that will serve present and anticipated travel demands. The initiative was administered by NCDOT, who hired McAdams as the consultant to deliver the comprehensive pedestrian plan in accordance with NCDOT's content Town of Hope Mills staff's role was primarily tied to providing data and logistical support for public meetings and notices. Some of you may recall we were on the steering committee last year. There were several public meetings and different breakout sessions that we were required to have as part of the grant award. We're here today pretty much to present the final findings for adoption. In terms of the overall plan, it consists of 6 main sections to include an existing conditions analysis, breakdown in community engagement efforts that we're undertaking, overall network recommendations, as well as facilitation strategies. With an overall goal to improve quality of life of Hope Mills residents by enhancing pedestrian mobility and safety. Some of the recommendations range from sidewalks along both sides of North Main Street and Garfield Road, which DOT presented about, to a pedestrian alley off of Trade Street that gives access to Hope Mills Lake. The plan also provides guidance on program policies as well as strategies for implementation. So what I'll say is, this is a working document. If you look at the recommendations, it lists a significant amount of street improvements and recommendations for the town of Hope Mills to undertake and implementation strategies. So the reason why I said this is a working document, it's kind of like the Southwest Plan or the pedestrian section of it. If once adopted, this is what I can, like when I leverage FAMPO grants by using the pedestrian portion of the Southwest Plan that talks about sidewalks on Ellison Street. Now, when we have opportunities for grant funding, this is an adopted, will hopefully be an adopted pedestrian plan that we can leverage as evidence and justification for those points. I didn't want to go into specific details, it's about 70 pages. You know, I can get
That
but,
don't bother us.
ultimately, this will be one of the adopted plans that will go on our website that we'll use for the foreseeable future. Some of the things that we're talking about really improve life in that area behind BB&T that gives access to Trade Street. If you look deeper in there, they have renderings about a pedestrian alleyway
Yeah.
that gives access to Trade Street to Main Street. So those are some of the really cool ideas, but it goes a little bit into the implementation strategies on how to do that. So let's say we were able to come up with another grant funding or a source of funds for some additional pedestrian monies, that this document can be used as maybe implementation strategy number 3. DOT talked about sidewalks and bike lanes on Garfield and Rockets Road. That's right out of this plan. So ironically, while we're here adopting the plan, this is on the agenda right after DOT is speaking about those sidewalks being completed.
Okay.
So, but that's ultimately what we're here for, this evening, to actually bless. You've already actually approved the resolution for us to do the grant, because when we originally got the grant award, we had to do it by resolution. We already, our match is only 20%, so the actual study is concluded. We're just here tonight to present the findings to actually.
How does this adapt with the grant that we have for Main Street and the pedestrian crosswalks and things? Is that,
That's a separate grant. So,
and it's a separate grant, but how does this plan fit with that? And does it also fit with the multimodal congestion plan that was done that has it's all of the town-wide plan was in that plan? That was also one funded through DOT.
I would say all 3 of those are equally
Entwined.
important, and they handle different things.
Okay.
The actual sidewalk project along Main Street with the improvements, that's basically a FAMPO grant award that we got where we utilize a section of the Southwest Plan pedestrian portion to talk about those. The multimodal is really a congestion management plan. I won't speak to the roundabout piece, but that came out of that plan.
Right.
There was also a piece that may come back up to you guys, we talked about before, when there was a project where we improved Birchfield Square or the apartments at Millstone. And there was a developer attempted to ask for a rear entrance off of Rockfish Road to Millstone. In the congested multimodal plan, they talked about that connection, so that if you leave it here, I wouldn't have to go all the way to the bow tie, come up Camden and Rockfish and Camden to get to Millstone. So that's a separate plan that talks about better ways to actually move transit system.
Mhm.
the Hope Mills. This plan is more geared toward pedestrian connectivity, walking. So all three of those plans are working documents that are very beneficial. We leverage them for projects that we have opportunity to act.
Madam Mayor,
Yep.
now, you said something earlier, so this plan will actually give you, it's a tool, or give you leverage to do your job better.
Yes.
Okay, it's too
But
easy.
I want to stress, this was done in coordination with the board, the
Mhm.
community. We did not just come up with this
Right.
idea. We had a significant amount of public participation. I think our steering committee had about 20 members.
Yeah, we did virtual meetings because of during that time, COVID. We had to
Too
go
many
COVID,
meetings.
Yeah. Yep.
This is the conclusion of it. I'll give you guys the full document. This is just a presentation form for what will be placed on our website.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Sure.
Make a motion that we adopt the Hope Mills pedestrian plan as written, right? That's it?
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I have some questions.
Okay.
So I'm looking over, like, okay, it says, it's under this for network recommendations, and it says, Town of Hope Mills recommended projects, and it has a list. I mean, there's no page number, so I can't tell you what page it is. Has a little map on it, but it has a list of different recommended projects, and one of them is the Mulder Street Greenway, and that's the part that's closed off, the gated area
Yes.
behind the vet.
Yes.
So, they're recommending that as a, pedestrian walkway, because it's a green space.
Basically what they did is, we were ultimately, and what we were trying to do, and it was a great idea, we just took it off. We were trying to create a greenway in
Yeah.
Hope Mills that connected the backside of our golf course to Trace.
Yes.
Well, with the stream that's on the backside and the railroad tracks and things, I think it just wasn't feasible. So they were looking at Old Plank Road, Mulder Street, and what happened is, when we have areas where we have abandoned roadways, that's a perfect opportunity to possibly try to pursue that. I think that recommendation was for the DOT widening.
Yes.
Ultimately,
It was.
Okay.
And Dr. Dean
Yes.
now,
Yes.
that's part of Dr. Dean's property now.
Yeah, and that's why I was curious. I was
It's
like,
working plan now.
Yeah.
there's a big old fence there right now too, still. So, okay.
Tracking. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. All right, next we have, public hearings, right? I'm to public hearings. Public hearings, case ZNG-010-22, initial zoning of 82.5 plus or minus acres to R5 single family and C2P planned service and retail, or to a more restrictive zoning district located 655 feet east of the intersection of Rockfish Road and Waldo's Beach Road and 560 feet west of the intersection of Camden Road and Whippoorwill Drive on REIDS, long numbers, about 5 sections of them, submitted by Trey Livick, agent on behalf of Barbara M. Johnson heirs. And this item was continued to this meeting, and the agent is requesting to be continued again.
Yes, this is that large 80-acre piece that we annexed in a couple of months ago. I'm not at liberty to say specifically what they're doing, but I will say that I'm full support of what they're doing, and they're basically trying to pull off a major undertaking that they have the ability to do, but they need a little bit more time, because they could alter what they're asking for the initial zone.
Makes sense.
It's something we're aware of. They're keeping us in the loop at every stage of the process, but they haven't yet finalized one of the key tenets that they're trying to lock down, so it's exactly a little bit more time.
Okay, so we need to do that by motion? Okay, so I
Madam
have a
Mayor?
motion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir?
to go along with what the people involved in this are requesting, I would suggest, or I would make a motion, that we continue this again on November 7th of '22.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Thank you, sir. Next, we have case ZNG-012-22, initial zoning of 33.92 plus or minus acres from RR Rural Residential County to R7.5 Single Family Hope Mills, or to a more restrictive zoning district located at 4742 Tumbleweed Drive, submitted by the Town of Hope Mills agent on behalf of Johnny Bunnels and Donald Taylor Jr. Turn it over to Mr. McLaughlin.
As stated by, Madam Mayor, this is an initial, zoning request. This is 33.92 acre property, vacant. It's comprised of about 3 different parcels. The current address is 2742 Tumbleweed. It was annexed into the town on the 16th of May, with support from the planning committee. The area to the immediate southeast that you see is later zoned to the R75 district, and also developed single-family residential uses. The area to the immediate northeast is also zoned to the R75 district as well. The board authorized staff to pursue this initial zoning request to the R75 district, which was annexed. Planning board, Cumberland County Joint Planning Board recommended approval on August 16th. Southwest plan calls for a low density residential, which this request is in compliance with. This is your, makeup of the existing zoning. You see the large R75 area to the northeast. It's RR to the southwest, but it's all residential, just a surrounding property. These are your hydrant soil, the hydrant inclusion soil, location of water and sewer PWC. This is your southwest, land use plan recommendation. It does call for low density residential, the R75 district, and this is requesting is in compliance with that land use designation. And here are your site photographs. This is a view of Tumbleweed along Black Ridge Road. This is a view along Black Ridge Road, looking southwest. And these are your recommendations, as, outlined in your, staff report packets. I'd like to open the report, any questions that you may have.
Mayor, motion to open the public hearing.
Yeah, I need to have a motion to open public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this annexation, this zoning, this initial zoning? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against this?
Motion to close public hearing.
Public hearing is closed. At this time, do you have any questions from the board for Mr. McLaughlin?
Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Okay,
In ZNG-012-22, the Town of Hope Mills Board of Commissioners follows the recommendation of the approval from the Hope Mills planning staff, as also recommended by the Cumberland County Joint Planning Board on August 16, 2022, of the initial zoning request to the R7.5 Single Family Residential District. The board also finds that the approval is consistent with the adopted current Southwest Cumberland Land Use Plan of Low Density Residential, and that recommended approval of the request is reasonable and in the public interest because the site will be developed with single-family residential uses that would be compatible with the harmony of the established residential development in the surrounding area.
can I have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed.
I will give you guys an update. The developer has already submitted for the subdivision review of this, which is the next stage of the process, and it's currently set for October 3rd.
Okay, thank you. All right, next we have case number ZNG-01322, initial zoning of 46.22 plus or minus acres from mixed CUD, mixed use, conditional use county to R6 single family Hope Mills, or to a more restrictive zoning district located at 3680 Elk Road, submitted by the Town of Hope Mills on behalf of the Charleston Group and Fayetteville Christian Schools owner. And this is Pine Type 7. I'll turn it over to Mr. McLaughlin.
As stated earlier, Madam Mayor, this is another initial zoning
questions?
Do we have a
Motion to
public
open the public hearing.
Public hearing is open. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this initial zoning? Is there anyone that would like to speak against this initial zoning? Okay, if you'll come to the microphone, identify yourself, and let us know your concerns.
My name is Brett Andrews, and I live at 5025 Pinewood Road. I can point it out if he went back to the map. And we are not really excited about this rezoning as it's going to become apartments. Is that correct? Yes, it's gonna become apartments, which is gonna lower the land value where we live. We've started a petition in our neighborhood. We currently have 29 signatures, trying to stop this turning into apartments, because all it's gonna do is lower the value. They're gonna cause flooding by the same way they're causing it at the place across the street from Elk Road. When they planed it off, and they left that real, instead of following the natural lay of the land, they ended up planing it off. And we've already had a tree go down, also since they put in the PWC sewage. So anything they do, removing the trees up there, is going to cause further flooding in our area. There's a possible problem with endangered species in the area with the red cockaded woodpecker and hawks. We are not excited about connecting Sycamore, which will be a requirement, and it will come through our neighborhood, and it'll be the shortcut to get around the Walmart, and that's very unexciting to us. We'll have increased light pollution and increased noise pollution. I'm assuming if you guys are putting apartments in there, you're gonna increase your law enforcement, because I've heard different numbers, but obviously, you're gonna have to increase your law enforcement. And we already pay taxes. We pay our taxes, and we're diligent with it. And I can only assume that our taxes will go down because our house values will go down. And I did already get with a realtor about that, and that's a fact. That's not something Brett thinks. That's a fact. There are also springs currently on the south side of that hill, and when they start moving that around, what's that gonna do to the springs? Also, that land is sandy and helps prevent flooding, and when it gets covered with blacktop and however many story apartment buildings, then that water's gonna go somewhere, and I know where it's gonna go because I saw it during Matthew, and I saw it during Michael, and I saw it all the other times. It will only get worse. I will get this petition to you guys as soon as I can when I finish canvassing the neighborhood. I have not finished with the Pinewood Lakes Road itself and part of Sycamore. I've gotten everyone on Hawthorne, and there were only 2 people who weren't home and 2 people who didn't want to sign, and they didn't want to sign because one of them just didn't want to talk to me, thought I was selling something, and the other one did not want to talk because they couldn't speak English, and they were afraid I was selling them something, and I appeared as a salesman apparently. So I think that's the current problems we have with it. There's a couple of people who are on vacation right now who I won't be able to get to sign until they come back. You guys have any questions for me?
Can you pull up the map and have him point out where he lives?
Madam Mayor, I think he's on the other side of Elk Road.
Okay.
I'm this happy guy. Now, I realize they have a, what is it, 30 foot? Okay, 30 feet. Here's the water right here. This is a wetlands, which of course is important to the lake. And it is also important to all the migrating birds, because this is where some of them come to eat, there and over here. I know they're gonna give some kind of abutment here, but 30 feet from here doesn't even clear the clean area, the PWC sewage pipe. Anything else?
Any other questions?
No.
No?
Oh, you guys gotta have one.
I do have one.
Mayor,
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
I do have one. How many residents live in your area?
In our area?
Yes.
Actually,
Rough estimate, don't have to be exact.
Inland, there's one. We got a couple in.
All right, so if you live in the area, raise your hand right quick. Okay, thank you.
Well, some of them are working. I think some of them just said, well, I'll sign the petition. But I don't know, maybe they thought it's a lost cause. I don't believe in lost causes.
Madam Mayor, ma'am.
And how old is your neighborhood? How?
Our neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
oh gosh, it started in, sometime in the 80s. Mr. Brinson, I don't think you can see his house on there. I think he was like the second house in there. He's the one that's passed away.
Yeah, he's the one that has the lake behind his house. The lake that's the dam broke,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, we're changing the name from Pinewood Lakes to just Pinewood.
Ma'am, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
you live on the far end of Pinewood, is that correct?
That's correct, I'm sorry, yes it is. Yes, I am near the barrier. This is the barrier here. I can speak louder. This is the barrier wall from, separating us from Elk, and I am the fourth house here. She's in the hospital, they're on vacation, and they readily signed.
Oh, and show
She's
them,
already having problems with flooding, it's taking part of her yard.
show them where Sycamore is. Isn't it Sycamore?
Sycamore?
Sycamore is gonna attach to,
This is Sycamore?
and that's what's gonna open up to the,
Yes, this is Mr. Green. I can't remember what his name is right now. And these people were not home.
but that is the road where it'll open up.
That's correct.
That's the opening, which that road then connects to Pinewood Lakes, the road
It
that,
does. It
the
collects
entrance
up to
road.
Pinewood Lakes up here, and then which goes up to Legion.
Right,
Mayor,
yes.
I don't have a question, but I got a comment. In light of the opposition to this,
Yes.
at this public hearing, under Rule 36, public hearing, item E, continuing public hearings, would it be appropriate to do that now so we'll have time so the board can get his information and take a look at the petition, take a look at his information, because this is,
Let me add. I'd like to address what he said first.
Go ahead.
No, this is my mic.
And just in full disclosure, I have been in constant conversation with this gentleman and Mrs. Riley, who is out of town. As it relates to, and I want to go about point by point what he stated. As it-
We can't hear what he's saying, so it's hard for us to understand what's going on. This is very important to us. So if he could speak up louder so we all could hear, it would be very much appreciated. It's not there. We couldn't hear all the beat, the whole music.
Just turn sideways.
I'll just talk about it.
We gotta fix this
And
stuff.
as it relates to what their concerns are, staff has been in constant contact with Mrs. Riley, who's out of town, and this gentleman the entire time. With regard to, and I wanna go about point by point, with regard to environmental issues, we have to understand that there are systems of balances and checks that are already in place. If you're talking about a stream, that is governed by a stream, bank, buffer that is enforced by the state. We're talking about wetlands, that is also enforced by the state. We're talking about endangered species. The developer doesn't have the option of not addressing those issues. If you look at the plat that is recorded for this annexation, those easements are recorded, so they cannot build in those areas. As it relates to Sycamore, fire code requires a secondary entrance for any development that has over 100 units. So there is a concern that there will be through traffic. The developer has agreed to install a fire gate at Sycamore. What a fire gate does is that it does address the compliance with the fire code for a secondary entrance, but the only people that can get through that entrance is emergency services. A fire gate has what we call a Knox box on it. So what happens is if I pull my car up to that gate, I can't get through. Emergency services are coming out through that gate. The siren triggers the lock. So the developer has agreed to address just about 100% of the concerns that they have raised, that they can address. The environmental concerns they have to address because that's enforced by the state. As it relates to water runoff, they have to get a stormwater permit. The actual stormwater ordinance does not allow for any on-site water to escape the subject property. So the only thing I'm saying is we have been in contact with the community. We are fully aware of their concerns, and every one of the concerns that have been presented, we have either responded in kind to make the developer aware of those concerns, but to also convey to the community that this is the mechanism that has an enforcement process that they have to address. As it relates to the price point, I do not feel personally that this development or development across the street will lower the values. I think it would increase. If you look at the existing older neighborhood and you look at the price point and the types of houses that are being built across the street at Sweetwater, I think that's going to enhance this area. I do not know what the price point of the apartment complex is as of right now. The only thing we know is that they're going for multifamily, so I can't say that that value will be decreased or increased. We just simply don't know what the price point is. From my pulse, it does not appear to be a lower quality development, so I do not think that it would actually lower the values. I think it would increase it, but I just wanted to make sure that those points were addressed. And the final thing I want to make very clear, and I'll turn it to the probably chime in on this is not, what's before you this evening is not the approval of the project. What's before you this evening, by general statute, is a request to assign the adequate zoning district as required once an annexation is approved. Once you approve an annexation, you have 60 days to designate a zoning district. Just like the previous project, they haven't submitted, they do have to submit the actual development review application for the approval of the apartment complex. But what's before you tonight is not the approval of the project. It's just the approval of the R6 designation for the zoning as required by general law. So I just wanted to make sure that I address those issues.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, is that this is not a decision tonight on whether there should be an apartment complex there. That decision is for another day, another time.
Okay.
And a lot of those specific concerns about any particular project can and should be addressed at that point. What's before the board tonight is, should this property be R6 zone? That's the only question before the board tonight.
Okay.
And what you need to consider is not what is maybe planned for that particular piece of property, but is R6 the appropriate designation for that particular piece of property with everything that could possibly go in an R6 zone? So you really shouldn't and can't legally take into account what you may or may not know about what is planned for this property. The only thing that you can take into account in deciding the issue before you tonight is R6 single family an appropriate designation for that piece of property?
Question.
Okay.
The amount of, where are we at on the time limit on the rezone or the initial zoning?
I think, you mean in terms of the 60 days?
Yes, sir.
This was annexed on June 20th, July 20th, August 20th. I think we're actually outside of that window already. Because when it goes in, when you annex it, you do have to actually go to the planning board, things of that nature. So when the planning board in August, and it's back before you tonight.
So we're outside the 60, or do we still have?
But basically what happens is it becomes unzoned
Mhm.
the property as a zoning classification district having 6 days. That doesn't kill the project. I don't think that the developer's gonna pull out because it's unzoning. That would have happened already. They're gearing up to submit for the project approval through the development review.
I just want, I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry. I mean, in light of everything and the confusion at the beginning, and in light of everything, if I had to vote on it now, I can't approve it. I can't vote for it. So can we postpone this and bring it back? I don't know if we can use that Rule 36 or whatever I said a while ago, but to give us time to look at this and look at the R6 in depth a little bit more.
I will tell you, just back to the history of this. Plan review, we probably talked with this development for about 6 months before it was submitted for annexation. At the date it was approved for annexation on the 20th of June, it came with unanimous recommendation of approval from the plan review staff. And at that moment, staff requested the authorization to pursue the R6.
Mhm.
And that was approved by the board. As it relates to the additional zoning around the area, R6 mirrors the zoning classification of the new subdivision that's across the street as well. So you do have precedent of R6 zoning in the surrounding area, which is what the request is for, and the zoning district that the property is adjacent to is single-family residential as well. So it's not like we're introducing commercial district. We're still talking about residential, but I just wanted to point that out, that R6 district didn't arbitrarily come out of, we did do some meticulous amount of studying to come up with the R6 district that is currently being proposed.
Madam
And
Mayor.
I appreciate the staff's diligence in the research and everything on this, but me personally right now, in light of what's going on, I would like to postpone. And
Yeah, so what do we need to do to make that Commissioner Marley's recommendation?
Motion to vote, I think you can continue it's a public hearing, so you can continue it to make a decision at the next meeting if you so
Okay.
Madam
My
Mayor,
question
ma'am?
is, what other zoning would be considered then?
That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. You're dealing with a project that we worked for 6 months with the developers to determine this zoning classification. If we choose another close with the zoning classification, I'm not sure what would happen, because if I'm a developer, I can't move forward with a classification.
What else can be put in this zonings, just to enlighten everybody? Right now, the concern, so in other words,
Okay.
right now, the concern is it's apartments.
Yes.
So it also,
appropriate concern.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, no.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what the
Alright.
thought, that's what has been brought to the board. So that's not the only thing that can be put in R6. So because that is not the only thing that can be put in R6, I believe that you're gonna be unzoned. And then anything goes. So,
So this is my point. If you postpone.
so what you're saying is, if we don't vote on this tonight, then it falls unzoned at that time, and then they can put whatever they want. So if you vote for R6 tonight, that's saying that you have somewhat control over what goes in there, correct?
Okay.
As far as it being residential. But
Right, it
like
would
the
be-
like the attorney said, we're
all
not
forms
voting.
of, all forms of residential is what it would be.
Yeah. But like the attorney said, we're not voting on what is proposed or what we think's going there. We're voting on the, and based on the planning staff's recommendation, that R6 is what is conformative to that area.
It's like protection then, pretty much. Oh, okay.
Madam Mayor, my paperwork says single family.
All of the development steps, and
Yeah.
that's where these issues can be.
Okay, address the details.
The next step in the process is for them to submit a development review application
So-
for development, which is the approval of the project.
Okay, so we have more say so in that.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
thank you.
That's where the engineering-based regulations in terms of compliance with stormwater, easements, when we get a sea line, wetland
And this would be information that the people that are here and those other residents of Pinewood Lakes would be made aware of. As the timeline comes, they would know so they could come back.
That's one thing I've made very, very clear. I want to reiterate, staff has been in constant communication with the community. I think the gentleman came to see me 2 days ago. I read the packets, I put out notices, everyone, my line is wide open, but I made it very clear that at every stage of development, they will be informed just what the facts are with the case, so they are made aware of what's going on.
Madam Mayor, my paperwork says single-family residential. It doesn't, my apartment's not a single family. It's,
Right now, it's just the zoning.
Right now,
Yeah.
just the zoning.
The title of the district is R6 Single Family Residential. That's just basically what we call it.
Okay.
That district,
So we would have,
single-family.
Okay? Do we have action?
Oh, yeah.
need to close
Yeah.
it now.
Motion to close public hearing.
Okay.
They still have,
It's still open.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, come on.
Isn't it zoned right now for commercial? My name's Rodney Trimble, and I'm 2 houses up from Brett. And number one, I never got a notice about anything, nothing at all. It's all new until Brett came and told me. Number two, isn't it already zoned commercial? It was zoned commercial on the sign, when the for sign was up.
I don't remember somebody
Because
that
the
It's-
church
commercial.
was going to, the people who built it was actually going to build a school there. if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
It was mixed use, conditional use is what it's listed in our write-up, that it was zoned mixed use, conditional use.
Mixed use,
Which
CUP,
means
and R5.
what?
That it could be a mixture of uses to include residential or commercial.
So if we do not do nothing tonight, it cannot be up for grabs for anything you come in, because it's still zoned there, because the zoning has never been changed.
Once we annexed it in, we have, it,
Lost it once we
designated that for
You need to come up-
residential housing. Residential, that's what we had, that was our recommendation when I was on the planning board.
Right. That,
yes.
two people, like I said, two houses up from him, and we never got addressed. And I know during the flood, and I know where you live, because you live right outside, that, our whole backyard was flooded. And they go ahead and do away with that barrier, what's gonna happen if it floods again and they build something? Who's gonna be responsible for property in my damage of my property? I can't afford to fix it. Who's gonna pay for that? You think the developer's gonna come down and say, oh, we'll take care of it because it was our mistake? And I think that's where the people should have some say in what goes on. We pay property tax on this. This is our livelihood. I'm retired. I don't have a chance to go out there and work overtime and make extra money and stuff. So I think this is something that's very seriously needs to be considered.
Yes,
he said it, but you,
he did, yes.
Rodney Sherman. Rodney. R-O-D-N-E-Y, T-R-E-M-M-E-L, 5017, Pinewood Drive. You're welcome. And our neighborhood's a beautiful neighborhood. It's mainly over people who can't afford it. If something like this happens and flood comes, we can't afford flood insurance or pay for the damage that might occur because of flooding from this. And that is like one of our biggest concerns. Our crime rate in our development is basically zero. It's a very good development, and we're afraid if you bring apartments and stuff up like that, what's gonna happen to our nice quiet neighborhood with the elderly people? And that is a very big concern. Single housing development is one thing, but you do multiple apartments, is there any guarantee that it's gonna be the better end of the people moving in there, quiet community? Or is it gonna be like, well, here, whoever wants to come and get it? See, my son cleans out houses for renters, and I've seen some of the stuff that these people are like. We don't need that kind of people in Oak Mills. it's very concerning and it's very upsetting to me that this is being considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, did you want to speak also?
Yeah.
This is what we have public hearings for, so you have a chance.
My name is Robert Peterson, at 3379 Northwood Street. You sent me a card when I spoke here in regards to Walmart. Okay? Look, he just made the point that I'm making. The multiple point dwellings, you're gonna bring, number one, the traffic. Okay, that's traffic in the evening, morning, afternoon. School, okay? I mean, that area. As far as developers go, as far as I'm concerned, only thing they're concerned about is the money. They're not concerned about the neighborhood or the community, okay? They just want to build their property, make their money, and move on, okay? It's a good neighborhood. I've been here since '07, and I've seen change, all right? So, yeah, you have the authority to say this, that, and the other. As far as I'm concerned, the neighborhood is gonna be destroyed, period. Once you start putting multiple dwellings in, I don't care, you're gonna get all kind of people. You're gonna get some good, you're gonna get some bad, you're gonna get some thieves, you're gonna get this, that, and the other, okay? And as far as the geography, the landscape, you're getting all kind of, water from when they built, Walmart in that area. I see the change, I have the stream, I'm seeing the change, okay? So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they just want the money. You want to put some single-family houses back there, no problem, I have a problem with that. But as far as when you start talking about apartment buildings, you get all kind of people, no. And like he said, it's virtually no crime in that area. You can go out, walk, people run, whatever, the children, whatever. There is no crime. You start getting those multiple dwellings, you're gonna have all kind of crap going on. And you know what? For me, 1 year, taxes went up, and I was telling Brett, my taxes went up $500 for that 1 year, 500 and some change. I spoke to you about it, at one time, and you said it was for, you never said what it was for, but you did tell me it was a one-time thing. But $500, paying my taxes again, now taxes went up again. And I'm asking, when I pay my taxes, talking to the county, they say, no, it's not us, it's Hope Mills. And I'm saying, every time, every year, whatever, taxes is going up, okay? Now, this one was for what? The, trash.
Trash went up.
Yeah, trash went up.
Trash went up.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
I mean, but time after time, taxes are going up, but I'm not getting nothing for it. Okay? Like he said, I'm retired, okay? And I can't afford to go out and get another job. That's not gonna happen. All I have is my retirement, my 401k, and some other ins and outs or whatever, okay? But I'm not no young man no more, and I can't afford to just keep taxes going up. The community of where we live, it's a good community, okay? It's a mixed community. As far as race, you have all the races, okay? Black, white, Oriental, Indian, all right? And yeah, I'm venting, but trust me, all my years, the only thing I see with developers, they just want the money and then they move on. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
I guess we're still open. but-
Anyone else? Okay.
Brad,
You gave them the mic.
I mean, we're really serious about this. We love living in Hope Mills. We like Hope Mills. Hope Mills is the kind of place, you know, you kind of want to go and retire. And it's going to go away from that, I think, you know. One of the people I was talking to, they said it pretty clear. They said when you get one apartment building, then you're just going to get a bunch more and a bunch more. You know, I've lived in apartments, you know. I've lived all over the United States. I've decided to live in North Carolina, and I mean all over the United States, all over the world, actually. So it's kind of upsetting if we're doing this just for money. And it's not maybe our values will go down. The person I talked to was one of the number one, I think she's like the number one realtor, like 10 years running or something in Fayetteville and Cumberland County. People would call from overseas to talk to her, get ready to buy. They knew they were coming there. And she said the property values will go down, not mine, they will. And on the backside, where the Beaver Dam is railroad tracks. How nice are the apartment buildings gonna be?
Mayor, is, it-
The
Yep,
vinyl.
yeah.
is, can I,
Go ahead.
is it appropriate to ask him a question? Can I ask him a question?
Sure.
Can I ask you a question, sir? I mean, you don't have to. I just, and just for the sake of this, the gentleman in the green shirt spoke about what it's zoned as now. So right now it's zoned mixed use. So that means it can be commercial or it can be residential. So if we don't do anything with it tonight, or we vote it down, then it remains that way, right? And I'll ask my question.
With it being unzoned after the 60 days, if it does not move forward with our city, you're looking at a 42-acre property that could be all commercial.
Okay, so my question to the community, to all the homeowners is, if we don't approve it tonight, just like Chancellor said, if we don't go with R6, then it falls unzoned after tonight, and they can put whatever they want in there behind you, behind your neighborhood. It can be commercial, it can be a bar, it could be a nightclub, a grocery store, it can be whatever it wants to be. So, but, I mean, what I'm saying is, so had y'all rather us vote to zone at R6 where we still have a control over what goes in there, or let it fall unzoned tonight, and then the owners put whatever they want, and we don't have a say, because if it's not zoned, then we can't tell them no, they can't do it. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like this, going with this zoning would be in your favor, to have somewhat control over what goes in there.
What's the difference between R6 and R7.5?
Size of the lot.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the answer.
Basically, when you go from your R6 to R75, you're basically talking about lot size. The only reason why we basically mentioned R75, but that's the zoning district of the neighborhood they're living in. And so you're basically giving the outlook that the makeup of the surrounding area is residential. What Commissioner Boney stated is key. Let's say this project didn't come along and they developed it under the mixed use designation. That's a much more intense development.
Yeah.
Because you're probably looking at something like Millstone. I think Millstone is half the size of this. And so this is what I'm speaking to, and I want to make sure I go back to legal, because we're way off the reservation. That's the conversation we're having, because we're only supposed to be talking about the zoning district.
Okay.
But if we're talking about uses or issues they're raising, and a developer who is meeting and addressing all of those issues, I would surmise that the amount of time that we put into working with this developer, talking about hot fires and locations, talking about reading wild sites, talking about environmental issues and things of that nature, those are the conversations we're having with them, so that the not address the tree grant, that eliminates it. That means nobody that's in the general public can go through Sycamore to get access to this property. But that conversation is not what's before us this evening.
I'm hesitant to even have continued
We shouldn't even
conversation
talk.
because not only should you not consider the apartment that may go there, you
Right.
cannot
Right.
consider. It would be
Good
illegal
advice.
for you to consider that in making your zoning decision.
Okay.
You have to make your zoning decision based solely on should this property be R6 or not.
Okay.
If you decide that it should not be R6, then I think we need to decide what it should be.
I got a question,
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Can
Now,
we, let's close public hearing?
okay, go.
Motion to close public hearing.
Okay, public hearing is closed.
Now I have a question.
All right.
From this point, once we vote, regardless of the outcome, what's the next step? Like, will they come back next meeting and do this, or give it another month or two, or?
Well, basically, they have to, I'm guaranteed, I probably should get it within the next couple of weeks, but the next step is for them to submit the development review, group development application, which is, they haven't anticipated, indicated to me exactly what date, but if you look at the last case we had, we approved initial zoning, they filed theirs last week, it's already set by October. So when they do file it, it'll go to the very next, hearing date. They haven't filed it as of yet. I'll probably give them about another week and a half, before I close the window to allow it on the October 3rd hearing. But the next step is for us to present the development to you. That's when
Okay.
these conversations, will be about approval. But like I said, what the attorney stated, what's before us tonight is the fact that the property was annexed by the town. They went through, this activity with plan review committee. It was approved, recommended for approval unanimously by the joint planning board as a recommendation from, town staff.
So reading between the lines, that whatever stuff the residents want to get prepared, have it ready soon as possible for the next meeting, so.
Okay.
Staff, I mean, and they can submit the petition to us for the record. I mean,
Okay.
if that will impact the road issue as well. So, we're gonna remain in contact with the community, let them know what's going on with the project. When we get the site plan, I promise to get them a copy of it, so they'll know things of nature. And at that point, my charge will be to show how these issues are been addressed by the developer. I do know that in terms of taxes and things of that nature, that's not something that I have any control over. But
A lot of the people didn't get the letter. I actually
Right.
had copies of the one, Mr.
now, they were
McLaughlin-
saying, from our standpoint, we're required by state law to post on the sign, actually one of the guys in there has a picture of the sign.
With the QR code?
Yeah, with the QR code on it. We, sent out notices to the adjacent property owners. Some of the property owners stated they didn't get copies. Gentleman came down, I made him a copy, gave him my card, told him to give it to anybody else in the community. I'm assuming, I think he has a copy of a notice he received. I'm assuming that some of the residents who didn't get a copy from us were still made aware of the case. So we have multiple ways that we send notices out, even if you didn't get a notice. If you hit that QR code, that gives you access to the full packet that does have the staff report, plat that was recorded.
Madam Mayor, you finished?
Okay.
So in other words, based on everything that's been said and the time that has been consumed, voting, making a motion for this to be an R6 is actually protecting the residents in the neighborhood.
I would surmise yes, because if you're talking about what would be developed, it's probably what conform without any, I think would be much more.
Yes. I agree with that.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
is there any more discussion?
I think we're through. Yes, sir.
Same thing.
It's time for you to make a
I'll-
motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. And, can you step up here, Chancellor, for just a second, if you don't mind? Is this right here sufficient? Same thing, basically, you got there. I can't see it. All right. All right. Good. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion in case ZNG-013-22 The Town of Hope Mills Board recommends approval of the initial zoning request to the R6 Single Family District and finds that although the request is not consistent with the Southwest Cumberland Land Use Plan 2013 designation, the economic and regional impact of the proposed development fits within the vision and long-term outlook of the area. Approval of the request is reasonable and in the public interest because the district requested is in harmony with surrounding existing uses and zoning.
Have a motion, have a second? Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Thank you, sir. All right, next on our agenda would be case ZNG-014-22, initial zoning of 6 acres from CP Planned Commercial County to CP Planned Commercial Hope Mills, or to more restrictive zoning district located at 5533 Corporation Drive, submitted by the Town of Hope Mills on behalf of Beer and Trees, LLC.
All right, this is the final zoning for this evening. This is also tied to an annexation of the 0-acre site. We've annexed it to zone June 6th. This is, beside Dirtbag Hill. Look at that big, open area that they have, just adjacent to the, I guess, the east or southeast of the site. They have expressed an interest in expanding what this was zoned commercial in the county. Their initial action for this is going to commercial because it's there. It is a vacant lot. The area to the immediate south and west is also zoned under C. You'll see that on the zoning map. Area to the immediate north is the Liberty Point development. It's a 70-acre industrial development. Building 1 is open. Building 2 before Liberty Point is currently under construction. Staff authorized by the Board of Commissioners to proceed with the additional annexation, recommended board approval on August 16th by the Cumberland County Joint Planning Board. This is the existing zoning, as you can see, that R6 area to the south is the, recently annexed in R6 development that, we annexed in, I think, the end of last year on Corporation Drive. That 5501 blue area in the middle is the entrance to that subdivision. The CP district on the right side of that is Dirtbag Hills and Dirty Whiskey. This property is on the other side of that. So Dirty Whiskey and Dirtbag Hills is owned by the piece to the right. Same group is doing the CP district. It's under consideration for you this evening. They haven't indicated what the commercial uses will be, but they did indicate that because of the large size of the tract being 6 acres, it will be like a strip type development. But they're also, and this is something that everybody's aware of, they're also gonna have a large number of parking spaces in the back to try to help mitigate some of those parking issues along Corporation Drive. This is your hydrant including soils, you see water and sewer locations. The request is in compliance with the Southwest Plan because it does call for heavy commercial in this location. These are your site photographs. This is directly along Corporation Drive. You see it's on the south, right? This is another view of the subject property. This is the final view of the subject property. And this is your recommendation. I'd like to open the floor to any questions that you have.
Anyone have any
Motion to open
questions?
the public hearing.
Okay, public hearing is open. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this rezoning? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition?
Motion to close.
Motion closed public hearing. Any questions from the board?
The only thing I know is I bet people don't park along the street anymore.
Mayor, I'll make a motion in
Okay.
ZNG-014-22, the Town of Hope Mills Board of Commissioners follows the recommendation of approval from Hope Mills Planning Staff, as also recommended by the Cumberland County Joint Planning Board on August 16, 2022, of the initial zoning request to the P Planned Commercial District and finds that the request is consistent with the Southwest Cumberland Land Use Plan 2013 designation, and that no further amendments to the land use plan shall be requested. Approval of the request is reasonable and in the public interest because the district requested is identical to the zoning classification in the county prior to annexation, which places it in harmony with surrounding existing uses and zoning.
Okay, have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Thank you much. All right, for public comments, we had Brett Andres, and he was the gentleman that spoke during the public hearing. So that's all public comments we have. All right, next we have our consent agenda. Is there anything that you'd like moved from our consent agenda to new business, or
Motion to approve consent agenda.
have a motion to approve consent agenda? Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. All right, next we have old business, none. New business, consideration of nominating committee recommendations, and I'll turn that over to Mayor Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, the nominating committee would like to recommend John Bergen to the Prime Movers and the Board of Adjustments, Elise Craver to the Board of Adjustments, Cynthia Helmington to the Veterans Affairs Committee, and Ryan Ray to the Parks and Recreation Committee.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Next, we have consideration to authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement with Richard Grubb and Associates for the provision of archaeological data recovery at Heritage Park. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Morrison.
Madam Mayor,
God, my head hurts.
I want to summarize this request by reading paragraphs from the agenda. And it basically tell you why this is going to be a requirement for RGA completed a phase one archaeological survey for Heritage Park plan in June 2020. The phase one archaeological survey resulted in identification of 31 CD 2213, which includes the remains of Hope Mills #1 and possibly the Anderson period rockfish factory. This site is considered to be a contributing element to the Hope Mills historic district. So the subject area is essentially the room in the area around about the room where they identified these remains. And so in summary, in a letter dated May 16th, 2022, the NC Historic Preservation Office approved the data recovery plan. However, they requested that the artifacts be curated at a facility that meets federal requirements. So essentially, there's two ways to look at this request. I assume that a recommendation wasn't a requirement, but having met with Partef and talked to them on several occasions, and actually meeting with them on September 7th, they indicated that doing this archaeological data recovery is going to be a requirement of the project. So essentially, they gave me two options. Ask for an extension to do the data recovery, or to ask to withdraw the Partef grant and not do it, or apply for a Partef grant again and have it. So long story short, we have to do the archaeological data recovery before we proceed the project. I answer any questions, and I know there's several questions, and so I think it's better to ask the questions, and I kind of feed in on what the requirements and why we got to do it.
So we got two options, basically, is what you're saying.
Right.
Request extension or redo the whole thing.
Right. I was told by Partef that the extension of a project with these type of requirements is not unusual. In fact, people can ask for at least 3 extensions of the project. Don't want to do that. I will say that there's portions of the project that doesn't affect this. The restroom, which we've already paid for, is in an area that's not affected by the data recovery, and then portions of the parking lot. So
move on with that portion of the project while the archaeologist does the data recovery. I'm told that it's gonna take them at least 16 weeks, could be shorter, so that's why the extension. Though, you know, we probably could do the project without an extension, I just worry about how long it's gonna take the State Historic Preservation Office to review the report. Because they have to review the report before they allow us to go on.
Madam, okay.
Question for you, is there a reason because of how much we're disturbing down there? Is that part of the issue? Because I know that originally, I thought the understanding was that they'd done reports down there. We've had several reports done. But my thought is it because we're doing a lot of disturbing of the ground and doing some things?
It is, in the main area is the flume, so we are turning the flume into a stormwater feature, and that's one of the main areas that we are gonna be doing some excavation. In fact, we gotta go in and kind of, excavate a lot of that debris out anyways. So that's one of the areas. And then around the flume, we're gonna be digging footings for, concrete pads for the shelters, et cetera. The other thing that came up, it's not mentioned in this report, but came from Partip, is the fact that the Lumbee Indians, which is a recognized tribe now, you know, possibly there were Lumbee Indians in that area, and so we might even find some artifacts from that. The archaeologists didn't bring that up, but Partip brought that up when I met with them on September 7th. So you kind of got two things going on. You got the mill, but then you have the Lumbee Indians, which predates that. So for those reasons, Partip's saying to be in good standing with the grant, we have to do the data recovery.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
We've been working on this project for a long time, the town has, and there are a lot of people that has invested a lot of time and energy and money into this right here. And I don't believe in giving money back. So I'd like to make a motion, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement with Richard Grubbs and Associates for the provisions of archaeological data recovery at Heritage Park. That's it?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. The next item on the agenda is discussion of Southwest Cumberland. We've already had that removed. I take that back. That has been moved to next meeting. Next thing is discussion of dissolution of the Sunshine Committee requested by Commissioner Scrolla. Okay?
So apparently, with our last meeting, they had made a motion to dissolve it. I have one concern though, because the current, well, the members decided to dissolve it. Should we reopen reopen it to have more applications, or should we go ahead and dissolve it? Because just because they recommended it doesn't mean we have to, so I'm not sure.
I turn it over to Commissioner Mitchell because you were there at the actual meeting that this motion was made, so can you give them some information in reference to that?
Yes, the members of the committee felt that it was a duplication of effort. The town is already doing, they have a senior citizens committee that's already doing things and events. And the original intent, based on the conversation I had, was actually for it to be pretty much a standalone committee for the town not to have no involvement with it at all.
Anybody else? Anyone else have a thought on this or concern?
Well, as far as opening it up to get new applications for committee members, as Mayor Pro Tem can tell you, and Miss Jane, we have very few applications for anything.
Stuff already.
Madam Mayor, my recommendation would continue to move forward with dissolving it.
And my thoughts would be, if there are any members of that committee that would be interested in serving on one of the other committees, that might be an invitation to give them, because I know there were a couple of ladies that had not served on anything before that were very, might be wanting to be involved somewhere else. That might be an option.
I'll make sure to reach out to them.
Okay. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Do we need to make a motion to dissolve it formally then?
I think we did that last meeting.
Did we?
Yeah.
I thought Mayor Pro Tem just did that.
Okay, well.
Yeah, but I thought we did that at a previous meeting. I could be
No,
wrong,
we-
but I
let's-
did.
Couple of meetings ago.
Let's just do it in a way to cover all bases.
All right, we'll cover all bases.
I'd like to make a motion to dissolve the Sunshine Committee.
All right, have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Manager's report. Do we have any questions of our manager's report or any additions to our manager's report?
I did want to, he's not here tonight, but I wanted to bring to your attention that the North Carolina inspectors have, in their association, have an inspector of the year. And out of the thousands of inspectors in the entire state, Kenny Tatum is fifth.
All right.
Very good.
Big deal, and I didn't want to use it as recognition, but I think that's a big deal, and, I definitely am very proud of him and our staff, and if you have a chance, tell him congratulations, that's pretty big accomplishment considering the country that.
Mhm.
But other than that, I didn't have anything to add.
Okay. All righty. Next, we have staff comments. Any staff comments over there? No? None? Okay, Drew, anyone? All righty then. Then do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to call a closed session pursuant to 143-318-11A6 personnel and 143-318-11 A3 attorney-client advice.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed, we'll go to the back conference room for closed session.
Let's go straight back so we can get out of here.
Missed that on the agenda.
At this time, we'll call our meeting back to order. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn?
No, sir. Sorry.
Madam Mayor, I'd like the motion to move to seal the minutes of the closed session until such a time of the release of the information would no longer frustrate the purpose of the closed session and further no action was taken.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. I do not see any opposed.
Motion to
Now
adjourn.
we have a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Motion to adjourn.
I
On a
appreciate
serious
all
note,
of
you
your
think we set
attendance
up
this
a meeting?
evening.